Yeah, if I could give you any real quick, a quick tip to playing Survivor is learn to look behind you and learn to slow down when you're being chased around areas where you can't see the killer, because their red light will tell you exactly where they're at. Some killers will turn their light the other direction while backpedaling, but for now, like a lot of times, a lot of survivors loop the killer and they throw down the pallet immediately. But if they would have looked behind them, they would have saw that they had room. They would have had a room to keep running that same loop. And when you're running around a loop, which is a piece of object with a pallet next to it, try to run the longer side, because here, I'll show you real quick. Hold on. I do this all the time with all new survivors. So mainly you'll have like a truck, right? Like, there's room. Right? So you'll have like a loop right here, and then you'll have like a piece of trash, and it'll look like that. So like if you're looping the killer, like say you're running right here, you have two options. You can run around this object, or you can run around this object. The better thing to do would be to go in here and loop the killer like that. And the reason why you want to do that, now most times when you loop the killer, survivors, we run at 100%. We run at 100%, and then the killers, they usually run at 110 to 115%. So if you can do the math, they run 10%, 15% faster than you. So you can still loop them around the object until they gain enough speed. Now, the killer will either try to smack you before you hit the pallet, right? This is the pallet. So if they smack you like right here, right, and they miss, you don't have enough time to run around this longer side of the loop. But what you could do is run. They miss right here, and then you can't run around because they'll smack you somewhere right here or right here. So instead of running around this longer loop, once you notice that they misplayed and missed the shot, then you switch it up and then you run around this part. And you'll probably only be able to run this section once, and you have to throw the pallet down. You have to, like immediately, you have to throw the pallet down because you've exhausted your time around these loops. Like, you did a good job here, and then if they missed right here, then you can go around, and then you have to throw the pallet down. And then once you throw the pallet down, now you've created technically a larger loop, because now the killer has to take out the pallet, and if they don't take out the pallet, then you can just run as much as you want around this thing. So that's just the art of looping. Like, just keep looking behind you. Learn when you loop two as well. When you loop two as well, like just say this is the loop, this is the smaller loop, and it can be anything. It'll be like a truck, it'll be a pile of trash, it'll be my favorite loop is this loop. Here, I'll just show you one more. It's a loop that looks like this. It looks like that. It's like this. And then there's an open spot right there. And then there's a wall right here. And then there's another thing right here. This is my favorite loop. And then there's a window right here. And then there's a pallet right here. So mainly what I do is I run like this, like this, like this, and I go straight for the window, and then I just rinse and repeat. And then if the killer does this and goes this way, then I just go right here, I go up, and then I just jump back. You never want to use your pallets. Never, ever, ever, ever want to use your pallets until it's the last decision. Like, even if you're at Killer Shack, right? If you're at Killer Shack, here's the window, here's the other door, and you have the pallet right there. Never use Killer Shack pallet, God pallet, until it's like the last resort. So hopefully that helps. Oh, and the last thing too, when you're running loops, I'll do one more. And hi, Grace, I notice you. How are you doing? Another tip when you're looping the killer, you'll see people loop the killer like this, right? they'll go like this. Right? That's bad. You don't want to do that. That's really bad. And what I mean by it's bad is you want to loop the killer like this. Like this. Like this. Like this. Like this. If you loop on the outside like this, like SpongeBob, then you're creating more space, whereas the killer will probably loop you like the red line. They run faster and they're covering less ground. So if you shove your face, your camera, your character into the walls as you're looping, bang, 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 bang. You're using less ground, and you're causing the killer to have to loop longer and longer and longer. So don't loop on the outside, or blah 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 blah. Like, loop very close to your object, and then once you mess up here, then come over here and then tightly loop that object. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? Welcome to Coco's class of how to loop.